We're making healthy on-the-go pumpkin protein bars that are gluten-free with oat flour. They have incredible flavor from pumpkin, almond butter, maple syrup, cinnamon, and your favorite chocolate chips. Hello, my name is Nicole Bonilla, and if you love healthier recipes that taste amazing, then you are in the right place. Now you're welcome to jot down these ingredients as we go along, or you can click on the link that's in the video description below, and that will take you to the website with the full recipe with all the details, including nutrition facts, ingredients and substitutions, and frequently asked questions. Now to make these really easy protein bars, we're going to start with a food processor. Now you could mix it by hand, but this will make it so much easier. And first we're going to add our oat flour. Now you could either use store-bought or you could blend your own by first adding in some old-fashioned oats or some quick oats and then just blending it on high until you get a flour like I did. So I'm adding half a cup of oat flour. And to add the protein, we're going to add some protein powder. Now this is my favorite variety because it's nut-based and it's naturally sweetened. And I did include a link in the video description below if you'd like to check it out. And I have found that vanilla tastes the best. So next we're going to add half a cup of protein powder. But you could also replace it with more oat flour if you didn't want to add the protein powder. And I include all these substitutions on the recipe card that is linked in the description. And to bring in delicious pumpkin, we're going to add 1/3 cup of pumpkin puree, and this is different than pumpkin pie filling. And then for some healthy fats, as well as to bind it together, we're going to add 1/4 cup of some almond butter, but you can also use peanut butter or cashew butter. And then as a natural sweetener, we'll add 3 tablespoons of maple syrup, but you could increase or decrease this depending on your preference and how sweet your protein powder is. Next, we'll add 1 tablespoon of some coconut oil, and this just helps to hold the bars together when they're cooled. And 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract for flavor. And then to bring out those pumpkin flavors, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of cinnamon and half a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. But you could certainly adjust those however you like. Then we'll add 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then we're just going to screw on the lid and then we'll blend it on high until it is well incorporated. And when it starts to ball together like this, you know you have the perfect consistency. You can even pull some of it out, and as long as you can roll it into a ball in your hand without it sticking, then you know it's just right. Now to form the bars, I'm just going to use my 4 by 8 inch bread pan, and then I'm going to line it with a sheet of parchment paper. Just push that down inside and fold it up and over the edges. And this will make it so much easier for getting the bars out once they're set. And then using a nice stiff spatula, we're just going to drop our dough right into our pan. And then we're just going to take our spatula and spread it out in the pan. Now, if you could use more healthy inspiration on a regular basis, I invite you to join my email list. All you have to do is click on the link in the video description below, and that is the best way for us to stay connected. And now that we have it nicely pressed into our pan, we want to let it set in either the fridge or the freezer. I prefer the freezer because it's much quicker. So I'm just going to put these in the freezer for about 20 to 30 minutes or until chilled. Well, here's our batch after 30 minutes in the freezer, and they are nicely set. You can see how easy it is to lift them right up and out of the pan using the parchment paper. Now you're welcome to leave them as is or add a really delicious chocolate drizzle over the top. So we're just going to take 3 tablespoons of your favorite chocolate chips and add half a teaspoon of some coconut oil. And then we're going to microwave this in 30-second intervals, stirring in between till it is smooth and melted. So after our first 30 seconds, you can see that it's starting to melt, but it's not quite there yet. So I'm going to give it a quick stir just to move everything around and distribute that oil. And then I'll microwave it for another 30 seconds. So after our second round of 30 seconds, it is nice and melted. So I'm just going to stir it for a second to make it really smooth. So I think this needs just a touch more coconut oil just to help it drip a little bit easier. So I'll add just about another 1/4 teaspoon and just stir that right in. There we go, that is perfectly drizzleable now. I think that's a word. Now you can slice your bars into whatever size portions that you like. I have found that slicing it into 6 bars is really convenient. So let's go in and cut them in half and then just cut each half into thirds. And then when I drizzle the chocolate, I want it to run down the sides of each of the bars, so I need to get a little bit of space in between them. So I'm just going to spin them around on my parchment paper and give them just a little gap in between. Now I really like to add a little sprinkle of some coarse sea salt just to make them extra tasty. So I'm going to have it ready so I can sprinkle it right away while the chocolate is still melted. So I'll just come in with some chocolate and drizzle it right across the bars. And you can do this however you like. And then I'll give it just a little sprinkle of some coarse sea salt. And then we'll just continue with the rest of the bars. Now you can also use mini chocolate chips and just mix them in with the bars if you like. I just love the visual of having these chocolate stripes on top. Now we have these gorgeous protein bars that you can enjoy right away or put them back into your fridge or freezer to allow the chocolate to set. Enjoying it right away sounds great to me. That is so good. As soon as you bite in, you get the most delicious combination of pumpkin and some earthiness from the oats, as well as the natural sweetness and nuttiness from the protein powder. And I love getting that little drizzle of chocolate on top, and just the hint of sea salt is so good. And I love that these are made gluten-free and with clean natural ingredients, which means I'm gonna feel just as good even after I eat it. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me today in my kitchen. I have included the link to this full recipe, and it's in the video description below, and that will take you to my website, gentletummy.com. And I also invite you to like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and I invite you to join me again in my kitchen.